Welcome to Not From Here, a podcast dedicated to past versions of ourselves.
And the current versions of all of you. We are your co-hosts. I'm Riley Klauza.
And I am Isa Rodriguez. And we are just a couple of Michiganders turned New Yorkers trying to get a grip.
Have you ever been made fun of for the way you say things or thought, damn, I never even realized I had an accent?
Well, we have too, because we're definitely
Not from here.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey!
That was so cool to hear in real life. Oh my
I was
gosh.
watching you the whole time and I was like trying not to giggle, like
No.
watching your reaction.
I know. I was trying not to look because I was like, oh my gosh, I can't mess up for her.
No,
Can she actually listen?
No, you guys, I don't know how to explain that you guys are the podcast that I listen to when I am like girl bossing and I'm like going to get groceries and I'm like,
No, I'm
I'm
about to
gonna go
cry.
get,
No,
like-
unfortunately, I'm crying.
and that's, no, please.
No, this happens every episode.
And there's space for that. There has to be space for that. But like,
Yes.
it's when I'm romanticizing my life in the city and I'm like going to get a bagel and a coffee. You guys are who I listen to. So that was awesome to hear that. You slayed.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
We're being so rude to
I know, I'm
our
like,
listeners.
who
I'm
the
like,
fuck
who
is with us?
Who am I?
Who is it?
Hi everybody. Is this the part where I introduce myself?
It is.
Let's hear
gorge.
it. Yes.
Hi everybody. I'm Hannah Kevitt.
Hi, Hannah.
Hi, Hannah
Kevitt.
Kevitt. Oh my
Hi.
goodness. Welcome to Not From Here.
Thank you.
We are so excited to have you and just learn so much about you and ask you all the questions, all the things.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you for
So
joining us
cool.
on Marathon Sunday. How are you doing today?
I'm good. We had a matinee today, so I just kind of like bebopped. We were talking about this a little bit earlier,
Mhm.
but we had a 3 p.m. at
Okay.
Maybe Happy Ending. That's the show that I'm in right now, and by we I mean I singular. I came down here. I'm never in this area, so I kind of bebopped around, got a little drink, had a little I read my little book, and I had
best.
some oysters, and I was so it's kind of chic. I'm having a great evening,
Yeah.
and I get to hang out with you guys, so it's kind of fierce.
Okay, romanticizing your life.
Thank
Wait, what are you
you.
reading? I'm so curious.
Well, I'm reading for the first time the Harry Potter series. I've never read them in my adult life. I was like, I just want to read them once.
Yeah. How is it going? I've never read them.
Good.
Have you?
I
read them?
have not.
Oh.
But I feel like what a better season to read them
Right.
than right now. Because it's
Yeah.
kind of spooky season's like trailing out.
It's
Yeah.
crisp
And
outside.
Christmas is kind of coming in. I know,
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Yep.
But
Yep.
the Hanukkah, Kwanzaa's, I feel like we're getting snowy, and Harry Potter's just a great thing to read or
Yeah,
watch when you're
bundle
getting
up
snowed
and-
in, right?
Yeah,
And
totally.
I'm very pro reading right now. Not to be like, that's not controversial at all. But I'm like, I
To
hadn't
some.
I hadn't read I don't know if you guys felt like this coming out of school, because
Yes.
reading is
you have to all the time.
right,
Mhm.
is your work.
Yeah.
I'm now rediscovering reading. I just read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo.
Please,
Obsessed.
please.
It's so good.
Obsessed.
So good.
I wish I could reread it again. It was just so
No, reading it for the first time is like genuinely such a magical experience. And I
Yes.
always wish I could go back.
Yes. Ugh,
We
anyway.
would both, I know she feels the same way, so I'm just going to speak for both of us,
Yeah.
but we would next recommend Verity by Colleen Hoover. If you
Okay, cool.
haven't read it, I feel like the structure is similar.
Ooh.
Is that the right book? Wait,
Which
am
one
I
are you
thinking
which one are you thinking
or
about?
am I thinking of the summer book?
Are you thinking about the girl that lives in the house with the writer, the author, and her family and the twins? And that, is that what you're thinking of?
Mhm.
Okay, that's Verity.
Oh, it
No,
is
you're
Verity.
right. You're right.
Okay, I was
I was just confirming.
Thank
that's
Okay, so Verity, Colleen
yeah.
Hoover, very similar structure and
Ah.
energy, and I feel like if you liked it, you'd probably really like this.
Okay, well, literally,
Yeah.
it's going in my brain.
You're
so
like
I'm
amazing.
noted.
Next up.
Okay.
Perfect.
Enough about reading.
Enough.
Enough.
No.
I'm ending the conversation. Hannah, tell us about where you're from.
Okay, so originally I am from China, and then I was adopted when I was 11 months old, and I grew up in this small town of Hickory, North Carolina. But if you're
Oh my
from there, you call it Hickory.
Hickory?
It's like 2 syllables. instead of
Oh.
Hickory. It's Hickory.
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 Oh.
I hear you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
giving
yeah.
like an apostrophe in the middle.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like
Hickory.
it's the smallest little cutest little town in North Carolina, and it's I always describe it like we had Tractor Day in my hometown.
Please.
Where like, and it sounds fake. Like, it's not real. I mean, it is real, but it sounds not real.
Mhm.
But it's like you decorate your tractor, and you drive it into high school. Well, yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So that's where
Park it
I'm
in the parking
from.
lot.
That's listen. If there's not anything else to do, like that is a great what a great day. Like what a great thing to put together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Tractor
so
Day?
I grew up with like farms and like
Wow.
churches everywhere and like yeah, very different from New York.
Okay.
So very
Oh.
not from here.
Oh,
That's why
she's
I
not from
resonate-
here.
Well, yes. That's why I resonate with you guys so much because I'm like, I'm literally not from here.
No. And I feel like that kind of relates to like a Midwestern vibe as well. Like there's very much small town energy, which is just like different, I feel like, than coming from like a California. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Where it's like there's still things that are like happening there, kind of like they do in the city here. You
Right.
know?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so you grew up there and then where did you go to school? That was kind of your was that your first shift of like place?
Kind of. So I had like a weird path to get to where I'm at.
Okay,
Tell us.
So long story short, when I was 12,
I'm like, oh, we're going back.
we're gonna do a Cliff Notes version, but when I was 12, I booked a JCPenney commercial.
Please.
I peaked, obviously.
JC
like right.
the shit.
And this was like back when it was like the moment.
Oh, of course.
But
You're
anyway,
a child star.
I was 12 years old. But so like I had an agent in my small town and she had connected me to like a New York agent, like a child like print modeling TV thing person agent. And so my dad and I flew up here. We met with that agent. They basically were like, "Do you want to go to a JCPenney commercial audition?" And I was like, "Okay." And so like little 12-year-old me was like, "Boop boop boop." And then I like booked it for some reason. And that was the first time that my parents were like, "Whoa, this is something that you could actually do for a living."
Like, oh wait,
Like,
she's got it.
well, like just more so like it's like a possibility, you know? Like that it's
totally.
like having a career in the arts is something that you could make money doing.
Yeah.
You know? That was the
Yeah.
first time that they really saw that firsthand. And so then at 12 years old, after that, I was like, I have to leave school. I have to focus on my craft. Ridiculous. And so they were like, okay, so I started homeschooling. And then from the ages of like 12 to like 16, I like trained at the studio that I like went to in my hometown that was like singing, acting, dancing.
Okay.
And then at 16, I auditioned for and booked my first professional theater job. I did Miss Saigon in Atlanta.
Oh
I
my
know,
god.
crazy.
You were 16?
I was 16. I was 17 by the time I did the show. Literal baby.
Incredible.
So I
God.
like lived in Atlanta by myself. And my parents kind of took shifts with me because they both worked. Like they
Yeah.
couldn't, take. And so they moved heaven and earth to like make sure I could do this contract. And like it paid no money. Like literally like it but I wanted to do it so
No, but
badly.
yeah, it's a professional credit.
Yeah. And so I did that. And then I was like, I'm off to the races. Like, it's going to be, just like job after job after that. But then, like life happened and I came back to my hometown. I was pretty firm on like, I finished high school on homeschooling. And then I was pretty firm. I'm like, I'm not going to college. I'm going to book Broadway when I'm 18 years old. So
Word.
obviously I'm not going to college. But then, as life happens, like that didn't happen like that. But I kind of continued to work regionally. Like in Virginia and South Carolina, North Carolina, whatever. And I did a production of South Pacific in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Okay.
And I did it with a few Elon professors.
Okay.
And I was like, that's weird. Like, college sounds like whatever. Like, this is kind of in between. So, like, a gap year-ish.
Okay.
Post high school and going to school. And I remember I was in South Pacific with this guy named Will Branner, who I later did Back to the Future, the musical on Broadway with.
Oh my
I know,
God.
crazy. But he had just graduated from University of Michigan. And he was like, I really liked college. You should go. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And so time passed. And in between contracts, in between like regional contracts, I was like 17, 18 at this point. I worked at the China Garden in my hometown, which is like this Chinese place that I love. And I worked there on and off for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
And then about like age 19, I had done a production of a chorus line, and that was on a university's campus. And I was like, I think I could do this. Like, I think I started to see gaps in myself as like a performer. Like, I was like, I can't read sheet music, or, you know, like I can't do this style of dance or whatever. And then more importantly, I think I started to see gaps in myself as like a person, and being like, oh, I don't know this about the world. I don't know what I think about certain things that I feel like I should know.
Absolutely.
So then I enrolled myself in community college in my hometown,
Work.
just to like take class and like learn about the world in a place that like the stakes were so low.
Yeah.
And I rediscovered my love of learning. And then I kind of continued to audition, continued to do community college. I did I did like a production of The Wolves, and I worked at Carowinds. Do you guys know what that is?
Wait, I do. Is it like, it's not candy, is it?
No, it's a theme park.
Oh,
no,
I'm
no,
so
no,
wrong.
I did not.
I'm thinking of
It's
Killwinds.
Me too.
Well, yes,
That's-
which also is in North Carolina, which is very chic.
Oh, okay, chic.
But yeah, Carowinds is like this theme park that like straddles North Carolina and South Carolina. So I was working there when I had decided that I wanted to go to a university setting. I wanted to like have a safe place to fail and a safe place to learn, and like work on the gaps in my knowledge that I like had seen now, like working in the real world, quote unquote.
Right.
And then I called a person that I had done South Pacific with, who was an Elon professor.
Yes.
And I was like, his name is Dan Calloway. And I was like, hey, Dan, I remember you taught at the school called Elon. Like, how is that? Do you like it or no?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I like it.
Casually, yeah.
He was like, if you want to come here, I think you'd really enjoy it. And I was like, okay. He was like, you should audition in November. So I did. And I got a call like in December, and I was like, guess I'm going to Elon. Guess I'm going to school. And then I ended up going there. I went to Elon University, and I got my BFA in music theater and my minor in sociology.
Ooh, I love that.
And yeah, I mean, it was an amazing time. So that's, anyway, long story short of how I ended up getting to Elon University. So I was older at that time. Like by the time I graduated, I had taken that like gap year. So it was just like a weird windy road there. Yeah.
I will say though, it sounds like you from a very young age, like you were able to kind of look at yourself and like look at the things that were going on around you and quickly like adapt to what the next move was going to be. Like even in those periods of like reflection and like, do I really want to go to college? Like, do I not? Like, is this for me or not? It seems like you were always like putting yourself and like your mind and like your future and your career first. And that's a hard thing to do at such a young age.
Thank you.
Truly, it just sounds like you're just very, I don't know. I don't know what the word is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you just seem very like in tune with yourself.
Like so
I
like
think.
sure of yourself.
So sure of yourself.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
very
Appreciate
lovely to
you.
watch you speak about your story. Like it's awesome.
Guys, that's so kind.
Of course. I'm like, whoa.
my dad always said that like his advice to me growing up was like, if you know something is right, if it feels right in your head, your heart, and the pit of your stomach.
Yeah.
And so like all of my decisions, I try to kind of like weed through that, if that makes sense, and see what's most in alignment for me. So yeah, that's how I ended up at Elon University.
I love that.
Okay, Elon, and how was your time there?
I loved it. I had such
You
a
enjoyed it?
wonderful
Okay.
time. I loved being in I'm from North Carolina, and Elon's in North Carolina, so it was only like a 2-hour drive from my hometown.
That's
so much
nice.
better.
So I got
Yeah.
to like see my family. That was really wonderful. I met some of my literal best friends there. I met my boyfriend there. So Yakov, my boyfriend, and our friend Willem, we all live together here in the city.
So
I love that.
It's very sitcom.
Is it giving, I was gonna say, is it giving friends?
Of course.
It's very sitcom. I feel like it's giving like I think it's because I just rewatched it, but like How I Met Your Mother.
Yes.
Like
okay.
those vibes where
Okay.
like
Yes.
we just like drank, and then our other best friend Sarah's about to move here, and so it's like very exciting. And anyway, Elon gave me like such a wonderful place. Like it did exactly what I had hoped it would do, in that like it gave me a place to like safely fail and safely learn to how to do things and experiment and not be good at things. And I feel like that's what college is for, you know?
Absolutely.
Is to figure that out. And Yeah, I loved my time there, and it was just like beautiful, and it was this time that I wasn't going to give to myself of like college, and a university experience.
Yeah.
But I am so grateful that I took the time because I was like, I just want to keep working my whole. But like, we have our whole lives to work, and I think that
100%.
taking the time to like be a student and
Mhm.
like that be your job, I'm just grateful that it all worked out like that.
Yeah.
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 So you mentioned earlier that like initially before Elon, you were like New York, Broadway, like that's what's gonna happen. Was that always the plan, or did it like shift at some point? I mean, obviously you went to Elon, but yeah, was New York always the goal?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, growing up, I was like painfully shy. But
Really?
yes, I
Oh my
know.
God, I would never guess that.
Oh,
Me
thank you.
either.
We've taken a long,
You're like, I've worked
You're like,
through
it's been a
it.
journey.
It's been amazing. But like I was just like I loved theater and I loved singing and dancing and my dad put me in this camp and I like cried off the stage because I was like so nervous.
Oh my
But
God.
I know it's so embarrassing, but like and then my dad wanted me to like get on like back on the like proverbial horse of theater,
Mhm.
So he started doing theater with me.
No, I'm gonna cry.
So like he rediscovered
obsessed.
his love of theater and like he we just like started doing community theater together. We did Seussical, we did Annie together.
Great
Like,
shows to do with
Thank
your dad.
you. And he booked more than I did. I was like random orphan to the left.
And he's like, he's like the lead. You know?
Right.
I'm
And I was
obsessed.
like, okay, perfect. We did South Pacific together. Like it was just like it was a really cool time in life. So yeah. And then I think the time where I was like, maybe not theater was when I took that time to go to community college. I had like found a love for writing. I found a love for like just learning in general. And I like did some stuff at the school newspaper. Like I was
Okay.
just like that was the time where I was like really like I could be anything. I just because I've done theater my whole life doesn't mean that I have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the only time that I was like, I don't know if I took time to be like, what do I want? And after checking in with with myself, I was like, I think I still want to try theater.
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of ended up at Elon. So yeah.
So you went to Elon, you ended up loving it. And then shortly after, things kind of started picking up for you.
Yeah.
Would you tell us about that big transition?
Life has been cuckoo crazy since I left Elon. So, okay, going into my senior year at Elon, um, it was like August of 2022,
Okay.
and I remember just kind of like I was going into my senior year and I was like checking Playbill just to like see what was going on in the industry, just to check in with like
Yeah.
what do I want to be prepared for? What kind of shows do I want to do and whatever. So I saw this listing for Back to the Future the Musical on Broadway on Playbill. And I was like, I checked the little description and the breakdown, and it said starting rehearsals May 2023. And I was like, I remember thinking to myself, I was like, that would be perfect because I graduate in May 2023. That would be like so chic
Ideal.
to like,
Yeah.
yeah, graduate with a job. But it was like such a fleeting thought. Like, I was like, okay. But it was back in that, like, y'all remember that time where it was like kind of in between virtual and in person things?
Yeah.
Where like some like things were just like, the general like open call initial tape was a tape and then you would like go if you got a call back you would go in person.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was kind of how this was. So I went to school early in August to learn the dance for Back to the Future and like the little link that they listed and film it. And so I sent that off in August and like just kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
And then a week later I looked back at my video and it didn't have any views. And so I was like, dang, like I kind of worked hard on this one.
Yeah.
And so I had been in the casting director who did Back to the Future is Tara Rubin Casting.
Right.
Yes.
And I had been in for them like weirdly throughout my career a lot.
Okay.
And I had never I had just been in for them like a couple times and I kind of knew of them and I think they kind of knew of me and things like that. And so when I sent that video in, I was like, I have this gut feeling. So I copied and pasted my little YouTube link and I sent it directly to the casting director. And I was like, hey, I would love to be considered for this. I think I could be good in it. I appreciate you watching, like whatever.
Yeah.
And I sent it off and then totally forgot about it.
Yeah.
I was now in full swing of
Yeah.
senior year and
Yeah, things are
Elon and
picking up.
right, life be life in. So I was
Mhm.
like, okay. And then about a month later, I got an email that was like an appointment for Back to the Future.
Oh
And I was
my
like,
God.
what? I listened.
You're like, oh my God. I took life into my own hands. I love it.
And so I was like, okay. So then I flew up and I auditioned. That was sometime in October. And I kind of flew back and forth auditioning for Back to the Future. I started auditioning in August, and then my last audition was February 27th of 2023. So I came back and forth
Wow.
a lot. Like my
Yeah.
my poor ballet teacher. It's like I was like, I'm not gonna be here again. I have to go back to New York. Like,
You're like, I'm sorry.
yeah.
But what better reason?
Yeah.
Like,
I've just I mean, it was crazy. And then there was one time where it was like for finals in December. It lined up that final week of callbacks lined up with our winter break at Elon. So my boyfriend and I packed up our car. He lives in New Hampshire, so we like drove up and
mhm.
stopped in New York for me to do the callbacks and then like finish the drive to New Hampshire. Um, and that was crazy. And then on February 27th is when I did my last audition for them, and it was like everything from like singing to acting to dancing, like to partnering to scenes. Like it was just like a lot. I saw them a lot.
Yeah.
And it got so like crazy because it felt more real every single time, you know. But I was trying not to be attached to it because I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, you
I'm-
never know.
I'm just like a senior in college, so like I don't know. And this is Broadway, so I don't, so it was just like a lot of unknowns, but I was just trying to do my best to like stay even keeled and just do the work when I went in.
Right.
And then on March 7th, I was in class at
Oh my God.
Elon,
Shut up.
and I come out of dance class and I like check my phone and I have an email from casting and they're like, "Hey Anna, can you call us when you get a second?" And I was like, my heart was immediately like,
yeah.
I can't even.
I hope you can hear that, everyone. I'm like
One
tapping
more
my
time
chest,
for the.
like ASMR. So, but it was like, yeah. And so I was like immediately freaking out. I run into the next studio. I call the number and I'm like waiting. And then it went to voicemail and I was like, oh.
Oh
So
my God.
Then I had to go to my next class because I was like still, so I go to the next class, which is like a huge departmental thing, which is like we're all sitting
Great.
and like listening to, I think it was like the first years we're all singing their like 16 bar cuts or something.
Thank God.
And so I'm like sitting in this recital hall at Elon and my phone is like on my leg and I'm looking at it like I don't
Yeah.
remember what the class was about. Like I was just like looking at my phone and then I see it light up with like a New York area code. I jet out of class.
Yes, as you.
I am in the hallway at our Center for the Arts. My boyfriend Yakov follows me and starts filming me.
He could tell.
Oh,
He.
yeah.
Oh, that makes me
Oh my
sensitive.
God.
And so, because I was like, it's either really good news or it's
Really
really,
bad.
really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and I just remember them being like, we'd like to offer you a contract in the ensemble covering Jennifer Parker in Back to the Future, the musical on Broadway. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Oh my God.
It's and like I just remember like I was trying to maintain my cool on the phone because
Of
I was
course.
like, yes, absolutely, I will do that. When can I expect the contract? Who can I tell? Like da 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 da. And then when I hung up the phone, I collapsed on the ground because I was just like overwhelmed with like
Oh.
it was like 8 or however many months, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, like 7 months
Yeah.
of auditioning and putting in work to this
That is
thing
wild.
that I was hopeful to get. And then it was like this huge release and gratitude and like also like little me. I literally cried all that day. Like I was
Yeah.
just so grateful. And yeah, it was one of the coolest days of my whole life. So yeah, that's how I booked Back to the Future. So that was in crazy, right? That's
Crazy.
Like insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
But what a story to tell, truly.
Yeah, I'm grateful that it's like I love my story because it's like mine. and
It's yours,
Yeah.
of course.
And then so that was in March, And then April was kind of chill.
I was like, whatever.
I'm gonna have a job after this. I was like,
Yeah.
except like we did have to like find an apartment. Like we were
Mhm.
like, I had never seen the apartment when I got here. Like we had to like look up Street Easy, and then we had friends, like family friends,
Go
that
and, like-
go and like look at the place and make sure that it was okay. And you know,
Mhm,
and
of
we were
course.
finishing up school, and so anyway, in May, I finished my last final. I drove my car home to Hickory. I dropped off the car, had one last dinner with my family, spent the night there at home, and then flew out the next day. So, fun fact, graduation at Elon was
Oh
the
my-
same day as the first day of Back to the Future
Of course it
rehearsal.
was.
So, I missed graduation. I didn't tell anyone I was going to miss graduation.
Yeah.
So I have this video of my friends being at graduation, and they call my name. And all my friends are so sweet. They were like, "She's on Broadway. She's on Broadway."
Oh,
It's so cool. I just have like the best friends, and whatever. It's emo.
Oh my goodness.
And so I drove my car home. I flew up to New York. I had a wig fitting the next day, and then I started rehearsals. Like it was
Diving in,
crazy. I
yeah.
mean, like I was in an empty apartment. Like no
Mhm.
one had. My friend Willem was just finishing up on the Anastasia tour, and Yakov was graduating at school. So like no one was there yet. So I was like alone in this apartment, like
Day
with
like
just
literally 2.
yeah,
Yeah.
with just like an air mattress on the floor, and just me and my lonesome, and like starting Broadway rehearsals. And,
Yeah.
like, it was like wild. So yeah, that, and then I started rehearsals, and then it was kind of just a huge whirlwind of like learning how to do Broadway, learning how to live in New York, learning how to do all of these things kind of at one time. And like it was a crazy time in my life. But it was also the coolest time because I came up here, and then all of the people from Back to the Future, all the cast and company were just so welcoming and so eager to help me learn and grow, and like took me under their wing. And I just had so much to learn still. Like I was like, I'm a baby. Like I don't know anything.
Yeah.
So I got to like the time that I was at Back to the Future, got to learn from like truly some of the best. And that was also like such a privilege. So I loved being at Back to the Future. It was like the coolest experience. I also got to check off so many of my like theater kid bucket list
Yeah.
items.
Did you go to the
Oh.
Tonys?
We did not go to the Tonys, but we
Okay,
had
okay.
a banging party, which
Okay.
was really fun.
But
Even better.
you did go to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. You
I
performed, did you
I
not?
did.
Like that is so sick.
That is
It's
sick.
crazy. I mean, like, it is such a surreal thing to do the thing that you watched growing up.
Yeah.
Like, I watched the Macy's Day Parade, like,
course, yeah.
performances.
Of course.
I was like, this is amazing. And, like, seeing the green on the ground and the turkey and the things, and, like, it was just crazy. Like, doing that, I every single one of these things, I've, like, cried because it's just such an overwhelming thing. And I'm just like, can't believe that it's my life, you know? And I just feel so grateful and like overwhelmed with like how lucky I've gotten, and that I got to do that. And I got to do it with like some of the most amazing people I've ever met
Of course.
in a show that I love.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's just the coolest thing ever. So, and doing like Good Morning America was awesome. That was
Holy
a
shit,
crazy
yeah.
day. That was the first day I'd ever drank a Celsius because
Oh.
We love Celsius here at Not From Here. Sponsor us, please. Where are you?
I tried to not drink a lot, but I that day is insane because you
How
finish a
early were you
show.
up?
You finish a show at like whatever, at like 11 p.m. to
Yeah.
45. You get home, and then you wake up at like 4 a.m. I think we had to be there between 4 and 5. I can't remember. It was either
Not
at 4
be
or
there
at 5.
4 or 5.
I was unwell. I was like, oh my God. But like we're all in Times Square at like 5 in the morning or 4 in the morning,
like-
whatever it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we spaced through the numbers, and we had 2 performances. So we did like I think this was on a Wednesday. Yeah. So we did a performance on GMA like the early morning, like a 7 moment, and we did like Back in Time and Power of Love, and then we went back to the theater because we started at the theater.
Mm-hmm.
No, we started in Times Square, went to the theater to get into costume and makeup and things, went back to GMA,
Oh, wow.
filmed the first performance,
Yeah.
and then went back to the theater, changed into our second look,
Oh my God.
went back to GMA,
Oh,
did
shit,
another
yeah.
performance, went back to the theater, changed for the first show of the day at 2 p.m.
matinee,
because the
yeah.
matinee.
All of a sudden, you caught up to,
Well, yeah.
to the next show.
Well,
Great.
yes. So that was
Wow.
like a 2 p.m. and then that was like an 8 p.m. Like it was literally wild. It was like I have never been more exhausted and delulu in my whole life. And we were, I mean, like what was fun about it was that like everyone's on the same page and
Yeah.
everyone's like delulu
Yeah.
and feeling wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was crazy, but also awesome because now I have like those things. Like when I like go down memory lane, like on YouTube, I'm like, wow, like I remember doing this. I
Yeah.
remember like feeling like this. And then we did a performance on The View,
Oh my
where I was
God.
unwell, like literally like sicky sick. Like that was the first night that I
Oh.
called out. But I like was like, they can't replace me. I've signed all the paperwork to be on The View.
Yeah.
So, and I got to meet Whoopi Goldberg, which was awesome.
Oh my God.
Please.
So, and like
A dream.
literally a dream. And like, yeah, I mean, and then like getting to meet all of these people is amazing. Getting to meet like the writer of Back to the Future, like the movie was always there, Bob Gale. Like he called me on the phone the first like, before I even got to New York, and getting to work with like Roger and Casey and like all of these like legends and these amazing people, and like getting to learn from, sorry, I'm monologuing here.
No, I'm
Please.
obsessed. Please monologue.
Please.
And getting to learn from like these amazing, like the people in our ensemble. Like I got to learn from Becca Peterson, like legend, Jonalyn Saxer. Like I get to work with like these like Emma Pittman, JJ Neiman, like all of these amazing people.
Mhm.
Like and Amber Ardolino, like like, and now they're just like my little friends. And, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and like they're all like mentors to me, and I get to go to them when I have questions or thoughts or feelings, and yeah.
But like, what a community to be wrapped into when you
Yeah.
just are thrown into New York City.
Yeah.
Which, as we all know, is like,
God, yeah.
it's craziness.
Yeah.
And to have all of that just kind of like supporting you and lifting you up through all of that is fantastic.
Yeah. I literally had a notes app. I still have it. Called like What I've Learned or whatever. And
Love
every
that.
time I would learn something like from someone
Oh.
and do like I would jot it down. 'Cause
Yeah.
It was like people just like figuring out how to navigate Broadway, how to navigate New York, how to navigate being a performer here, like
Mhm.
and taking care of yourself, how to navigate being a woman here, like just like all of these things. Or like I would have conversations like with like my dressing room girlies, like in dressing room 13, talking
Yeah.
about like big life things, and anyway, so that was my Back to the Future experience.
Wow.
The coolest.
And so tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now. You mentioned it briefly at the beginning of the episode, but you jumped to another OVC.
Yeah.
Like, tell us
How
about
the hell did you get
that.
there?
I literally, how the hell? Like, let's talk about that because it's crazy cuckoo bananas. So, okay, so I was still in Back to the Future this past summer, and I went out to drinks with a friend, and this friend was like, "Hey, have you heard of this new show that's coming called Maybe Happy Ending?" And I was like, "No." And they were like, at this point, Helen and Darren had already been announced
Right.
that they were
Mhm.
attached to the project, and they were like, "You should ask your agents if they're looking for covers. Like, I think you'd be really good in this show." And I was like, "Okay." So I went home, I looked up Maybe Happy Ending on YouTube. They have a production in Korea, and then they did an out of town in Atlanta at the Alliance
Okay.
Theater.
Wow.
And so I sent an email to my agents, and I was like, "Hey, I just heard about this new show called Maybe Happy Ending that's coming to Broadway. I would love an audition for that." And they were
Yeah.
like, "Okay." And so they sent me the script and some of the demos of the music that the team had sent along. And so I spent one afternoon before Back to the Future at night. I spent the afternoon reading through the script and playing some of the music demos, and I fell in love with the show. I was like, I am obsessed. Like it's such a beautiful show. It's so smart. It's so pure. Like
Yeah.
it's something that feels so precious, especially in a place like Broadway. And I was like, oh, I don't care if I'm like third tree from the left. I kind of just want to be a part of the show.
Yeah.
And so I filmed my self-tape. I sent it off in like early June. And then in in June, like I hadn't heard anything and I was like, okay, I guess it's not mine. But I had this like gut instinct where I was like,
Mhm.
I feel like I'd be good in this. Like I feel like at least I would have gotten a call back, but I didn't hear anything. And so I was like, okay, I have to release because what's meant for you will not pass you by.
Yep.
And so I was like, okay. So I did, I think in July, it was like a Thursday, Back to the Future performed at Broadway in Bryant Park, which was so cool. I got
my
to do it. I
gosh.
got to, I did my understudy track, and which is Jennifer, like the girlfriend of Marty McFly, and JJ Neiman who was like one of my very, very close personal friends because he also went to Elon and then we were dance partners the whole show. He was on for Marty at Broadway in Bryant Park. So we got to do it together and we got to sing together. So that was like such a special day.
Stop the Broadway and Bryant Park videos. Like the hours I would spend watching those, like growing up.
Me too.
All of them.
It's just theater kid core.
Yeah, like,
Just it.
It's that. It's the
Literally.
54 Below videos.
Right. And everybody's on Broadway as a theater kid. Like,
Yeah.
let's just talk about
Please. That's where we all
Yeah.
started.
it. Right. And
I love
so
that.
I got to perform at Broadway in Bryant Park. And then after that, I got a call from my agent about something completely different. Like they were asking if I want to go to another audition, and I was like, sure. But I was like, you know what? Like it was the end of the conversation. I was like, can you just check in about maybe Happy Ending? I was like, I felt really good about that audition. I'm sure they've moved on and cast someone by now, but I'm just curious what their feedback was. Like why I didn't like get a call back or what happened.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay. So then the next day is a Friday and they called me and my agent was like, funny story. And I was like, okay.
What's funny about this?
All right. And then she was like, so I was about to email casting and be like, hey, wanted to check in about this. But she woke up to in her inbox an email about me and maybe Happy Ending. And I was like, whoa, crazy.
Timing.
Crazy, right?
Oh my God.
And so then she was like, the email basically was asking about my outs with Back to the Future, like when I could put in my notice and how long I would have to work out that notice. And I had done over a year with Back to the Future at that point. And so we were on like a 4-week out.
Okay.
So that's what she told them. And they were like, dang, like we start rehearsals earlier than that. And then my agent was like, no, Hannah could do double duty.
You're like, hold on. Don't underestimate my
She's
girl.
fine.
And so, which would have been wild. But then they were like, oh, interesting. And so they were like, we'll reach out. We don't know what's going to pan out, but we might need this Claire cover after all.
Okay.
But we don't know until after the weekend. So that was on Friday. And so I spent the entire weekend being like, just not even like, just trying to like release the outcome, but I didn't know what the outcome was. And so I was just like a little like on edge, you know?
Of course.
So then Monday rolls around. I go to my first dance class of the year because like Back to the Future, there was so much dancing that I was like, I don't want to go to dance class because I'm tired.
You're always dancing.
Yeah.
Right. But I was like, I think this would be good for my soul. So on Monday, I went to dance class at Steps. I come out of class and I have a voicemail from my agent. And it's like, hey, Hannah, you have an offer. And I was like, oh. And so, of course, my phone's at 2%.
No!
I know. It's heinous. It's heinous. And so I'm like, I can't even order an Uber. You know what I mean? So I have to get on the train and I'm getting on the local train that's like closest to there. And so I'm like waiting and I'm like, and so I just have to like ride it to my stop and then I run off the train and I was like not stopping at my stop or whatever. Anyway, so I run off the train, I run up all the stairs and whatever, plug my phone in. Somewhere along the way, I called my boyfriend and he wasn't in the apartment. So I was like, hey, I just got a call from my agent. I had been in for a few things, so I didn't quite know it was maybe Happy Ending. Like, I was like, I don't
You were
know.
like, what is going on?
Right.
Like just a offer from
Correct.
something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Yakov was like, okay, call me when you get home, like FaceTime me so I can like video or whatever.
God, stop. He's so cute for that.
videos.
He knows. The girls that get it. You know
He
what I mean?
really gets it. Thank God. Someone has to.
So appreciative of him. So anyway, I like get home, I plug my phone in, I call Yakov, I'm on FaceTime with him, and I'm like shaking because I'm like anticipating like this crazy thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I pick up the phone and my agent's like, you have an offer for Maybe Happy Ending. And I think in the video, I was like, are you sure? Because like,
Did you like you double checked, right?
Yeah.
Positive.
because I only sent in one tape for that. Like
That is insane.
which is wildly different from
Okay.
my experience with Back to the Future because I
Yeah.
had been in like 8 times. And so I was like, they don't even know me. I could be crazy.
Yeah.
I could be like dumb.
No in-person meeting.
Yeah, I had never met anyone. Come to find out, I realized that it's because like the writers were in Korea and our director was in Boston, and so like it was just like
No one
wanted
was
to-
here.
correct.
Yeah.
But I was like, they don't even want to meet me to make sure that I'm like cool. or
Vibe
I'm-
check. Like,
yeah, like check my height. Like you know what I mean? Like
anything.
right. So I was just kind of like, okay. And then it was a whirlwind because they were like, okay, you have to put in your notice with Back to the Future tomorrow because it was a Monday, it was my day off, and then Tuesday, I put in my notice and I was like so nervous because I love Back to the Future and I love that
Yes.
family and that community, and I was like really scared to leave, and it was like the first community I had here in New York, and but I was like, I think it's the right thing for me to leave. I think I need to leave for this project because this other project is like also pulling at my heart, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And God, like what a privilege to like be able to like jump into a new Broadway show. Like that's crazy. And so anyway, I put in my notice with Back to the Future. I worked out my last 4 weeks. My last show, Back to the Future, was literally so emo. Like I cried like the whole
Oh
way
my
through because
God, of course.
it was like such a bittersweet, thing. And I love everybody there. And then I also was so excited to do this new show. And now it's crazy to think that like we are gonna open, like Maybe Happy Ending is opening November 11th.
Wow.
And we are doing like our gala and like officially opening. So my official position at Maybe Happy Ending is I am the Claire standby. So this is my first time experiencing like offstage coverage because
Mhm.
I was an onstage cover at Back to the Future. So this is my first time experiencing offstage coverage, and this is like such a small cast. Like Back to the Future is huge,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and Maybe Happy Ending is like an 8
Itty bitty, yeah.
like 4
Wow.
on stage, 4 off stage. And
That is
so
phenomenal.
it's
Hannah.
crazy.
So
Life
Wow.
is
intimate.
Crazy.
Life is crazy, but so this last story I feel like is such a testament that like what is meant for you will not pass you
Not
by.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were like, they don't even want to meet me, and they were like, no,
Yeah.
girl, nothing
Yeah.
that you could
This is
show
meant
them
for
will
you,
change that
yeah.
it's yours.
Yeah. Which I got some great advice because like I was like this show was like something that I really wanted to do, and I saw that they were doing like an ECC for it. And I was like,
Mhm.
should I go? Like I was talking to the girls in my dressing room, and they're like all like big sisters to me.
Yeah.
And one of the girls was like, no, if it's meant for you, it will happen. They watched the tape. You have to trust that they did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I did. And here it is. You know what I mean?
And it works, yeah.
Crazy. So this process has been a dream in a very completely different way. It's been so cool to be, I mean, this is like, so Back to the Future transferred from the West End.
Okay.
And so it was pretty much like in our preview process, we really didn't change a lot. It was like pretty cut and paste kind of
Yeah.
vibes. They knew
Mhm.
what they wanted. They had already seen it. It had already been a success in the West End, etc. Maybe Happy Ending is a new Broadway musical. It's like all new and
All
like
new.
it's changing every single day based on audience reactions, based on the writers and the directors and the onstage cast, and it's been truly such a privilege to get to like be in the room with like these people that I've admired their careers my whole life. I mean, like getting to work with Michael Arden and Darren Criss and getting to work with Helen J.
Wow.
Shen, who's amazing as Claire.
Mhm.
And like, it's just such a cool thing I get to do.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Like,
Genuinely.
Thank you.
you
Congratulations.
did the thing.
You
Oh,
did the thing.
we're trying.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And I know I just met you today, but you do just seem very deserving, and like you've worked
Yes.
very hard for it, and so yay, and to hopefully many more.
Yes.
Who knows?
Life's
I don't know.
long, girl.
True that.
You got time.
True.
No, you guys, I got to see the show last week, and run. Like, that's all I can say is like, run. It was such a privilege to watch, like, such a beautiful, like, intimate, magical, like, special piece. Like, I'm like, you guys know I cry all the time, but I was bawling, like, more than usual crying. Like, it's just such a special message, I think.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's truly, I haven't seen anything ever like that before.
Me neither. I've never seen anything like that on Broadway.
Yeah, Broadway needed that.
I think so too. I
Mhm.
thank you for saying that.
Of
It's so
course.
cool. Like, I think that what's special about the show is that it addresses like grief and loss and
Mhm.
love and very human things in like a very precious package.
Yeah.
Like in the same kind of way that like a Pixar film does,
Mhm.
where it's like these are some big
That is
concepts.
so true.
Right?
So true. I'd never thought of it like that. I'm like, oh,
Wow.
that's the perfect way to describe it. Yeah.
Like it's these big, scary seeming concepts, but it's presented to you in a way that's like not aggressive or like scary in any way. It's just
Mhm.
like, here it is. Come in, have a cup of tea. Kind of
Yeah.
vibes. And like, yeah, in the same way that like a Pixar film makes me cry, this show makes me cry. So anyway, that's that's maybe happy
Hannah, you
ending.
have to let us know when you go on. Like, I'm
I
coming
will.
back.
Please.
Like, I know I'm not your first person.
Immediately, like, I will be
We're
there.
not the first people to call, but like, you better let us
Just
know.
post it on your story.
Yeah,
and
we're coming.
We'll be there.
We're coming.
I'm a big story poster. I'm like debating starting like a broadcast channel, like of like
Oh.
something like that, to just be like, "Hey, girlies,"
Yeah.
vibes. But I'm cool. You know, we'll see.
No, I need to see it again, and I'm going with you. I
Thank
need
God.
to see it.
I'm
with
like,
you.
I haven't seen it yet.
No, I'm demanding to see it with you.
Guys, come see maybe Happy Ending at the Belasco Theater. We're there. It's exciting.
Yay! Oh my goodness.
Okay, guys. We just found out we have 10 minutes left, and we're obsessed with Hannah. So we're gonna do a quick speed round, see how many questions we can get before we have to
Squeeze
sign
in.
off. So starting off strong, give us a New York City horror story.
Okay. Oh, okay. So I was headed home from a show,
Okay.
and it was like a Saturday night,
Mhm.
and I was taking the train, and I run downstairs because, like, y'all know the feeling that when you like have to catch the train, like
Yes.
you know that that one's like there, and then the next one's gonna be like 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
So I was running, and I
Ugh.
run through like glass and like something red, and I was
No.
like, "What is
No.
happening?" But I'm like, this is how I was like, am I a New Yorker? Because I like just ran onto the train, and I was like, "Here I am." And so, but then like it wasn't moving for like 10 minutes, and I was like, "What's going on?" And I look out, and start walking, and I see this man flanked by police officers. His face is covered in blood. And I'm scared. I'm like, what is going on right now? It's like 11 p.m. I don't know what to do. But I know that other people from the show were there. And so I was like
Okay,
looking
that's
for
good.
someone that I knew. And then I hear my name, and I look, and it's my friend Kimmy, and we live close to each other. So I was like,
Okay, love.
oh, thank God. And like, she's like big sister vibes. So she was like, let's go.
Yeah.
So we left, and we went to another train. And then she told me that what had happened was this guy they got into a fight, and this man like smashed a bottle on this other man's face. It was literally so scary.
Oh my god.
And you
I know.
ran right through it.
Yeah, literally right through it. Like,
You
I
were
can
like,
imagine like
train.
the crunching of the glass.
I
You're like
literally
scurrying.
through like evidence. Like, why did I do that?
It's like stuck to the bottom of your shoe.
Yeah,
You're like, oh,
Like the one
shit.
piece of
Like,
DNA.
I know, it's scary. Ah, Jesus.
Oh my god. No,
Anyway.
that is
No, it's terrifying.
Scary,
Wow.
spooky skeleton, literally.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Okay,
a
I'm
good one
ready.
to end spooky season. Sorry, you got the
Love.
next one.
Okay. How does your background influence the type of person and performer you are today?
I think that just talking about my story today, I think that it's easy to look at my life and right now and be like, it just happened, like in a blink of an eye. But I feel like every experience that I've had, like, because I did all the summer stocks where you're paid like $2 and
Yep.
you like are working a million hours, and you're like, I worked at the what's it called, theme park, and like I really wanted to do the cruise ship auditions. I did the waking up at 3, you know what I mean, like just out of order than
Yeah.
like the normal order. But I feel like all of those things made me respect where I'm at and respect like the journey that I've taken, and everything was meant to happen in the time that it was supposed to, because if I would have booked Broadway when I was 18, I wouldn't have been ready.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been ready to accept that and grow from that and like hopefully like make the most of it and like learn from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of off of that, are there any big pieces of advice or like mantras that you've said to yourself in your time here that you would want to share with anyone out there who's, doing the same thing or struggling in what we're doing right now? What would
Yeah.
you share with the world?
When I was auditioning for Back to the Future and when I was auditioning for Maybe Happy Ending, both big audition processes, I was like, there reached out to a mentor of mine from school who was my acting professor, and she gave me this book called New Thoughts for Actors.
Okay.
And there is a list at the front of the book with like affirmations. And like the affirmations are like, I release and destroy the need to be perfect. I release and destroy the need to get this job. And I say all of those mantras and like affirmations to myself before I go into an audition to like try to give myself permission that it's all going to be okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. What was the book called?
New Thoughts for Actors.
I love
New
that.
Thoughts for
Yeah.
Actors.
Wow.
Okay, I'm buying immediately.
Ordering on
Great.
Amazon.
I already ordered it.
I've never read the book, but
Delivered.
I've read the first
The
page a lot.
affirmations are enough.
Hey, sounds like it's getting the job done.
Okay,
Yeah.
and Hannah, you know it's coming.
I'm
What
ready.
makes you not from here?
Oh my god, I'm so excited to get this question. I'm so excited that I can't think of an answer. What makes me not from here? I really like and miss bulk grocery shopping. I really miss it. I miss having a car and being able to just throw all my crap in it and like get like things for like the next 2 weeks so I don't have to worry about
Yep.
it. I miss that. I think that makes me not from here because I feel like a true New Yorker is like, oh, I love how I can go and just pick up little ingredients here and there, but like
No.
I don't want to pick up ingredients here
I
and there.
hate that shit.
I hate that. It's like
Let
everybody
me go
I
to
know.
one store
they-
and get everything I need.
It's like a
please.
little
Well,
market
yes.
here and a little market there. And I'm like, where do you find the time?
Right.
Go to 5 markets.
Right.
But I mean, hey, I guess it is one of those things that makes New York, New York.
True. Very true.
Hannah, thank you so much for joining us. This was such a pleasure. And like, what an amazing episode. I'm obsessed with you.
What
I'm
a
obsessed
guest.
with you guys. Thanks for
I'm like,
having me.
Hannah,
Sorry, I
you're
just
not getting rid
monologued
of us.
at you for like an hour.
They love it. They haven't
Hannah,
even heard
that's
it
what-
yet, and I
that's
know
what
they love
want.
it.
That's what they want.
They really do.
Where can the people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Hannah Kevitt. I also do some TikTok sometimes at Hannah Kevitt.
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
You guys, that's how we found her.
That is. Oh, can we just talk about that for 1 second?
No, we can. We can.
Okay, so we found Hannah's TikTok. It was actually Noah, our social media manager, who you guys have met now. But he was like, oh my God, have you seen this TikTok? And we watched it and we were like, oh my God, like somebody on Broadway like listens to our podcast. And it just kind of turned into this thing where we started like, kind of like looking into you. And we
No,
were
yeah,
like,
you were on the
wait,
radar.
she's
Yeah.
so cool. Like
The
she seems
Broadway
like
girl.
the perfect vibe. And it just kind of all worked out perfectly. But yeah, so her social media, give it a listen. Because
Check it
we
out
came
if you want.
upon it and we were like, okay, wait, so
Get
cute
there.
and fun.
Oh, appreciate just girlies.
Just girlies being girlies. So I mentioned Noah. Shout out to him. We would not be able to do like literally anything
of
without
this.
him. So if you haven't listened to his episode as well, it just came out. Please go give it a listen. And next week we will be joined by 2 guests at once. Has that ever happened?
No, it's our first
No,
time.
It's our first time. Going to be so exciting. We are going to be joined by Madeline Dalton and Adam Dorfman, both
Hey.
artists. You'll learn more about them next week, so stay tuned.
If you want to keep up with us on social media, our @ is @notfromhere.podcast. That is NOTFROMHERE.PODCAST. And as always, I'm Riley Klauza.
I am Isa Rodriguez,
And I'm Hannah Kevitt.
and we are definitely
Not from here. Bye.
3, 2, 1, yeah!
What